Hey, Shalom. How are you? My name is Rico Cortes from Wisdom and Torah Ministries. This time of the year is a very important time because of the Days of Awe. The Days of Awe is a time frame between the first of Tishri, which is in the Hebrew calendar, is the month where there are some celebrations that we have to observe in order for us to present ourselves before God. Yom Teruah, or Rosh Hashanah, is the day when we begin to celebrate the enthronement of God on the heavens and on the earth. On the Day of Atonement is when we present ourselves before the King to account for our actions. And there He renders judgment. And we are praying that we'll be inscribed and then sealed in the Book of Life. And also the celebration of tabernacles at the end of the month of Tishri. That celebration represents symbolically the weddings of the Lamb that the first century writing speaks about. So the question is, why do we celebrate Yom Kippur? What is the essence of Yom Kippur? And one of the things that I have discovered in my years of research is trying to understand returning to the sacred space of God, returning to Eden. And because of the sin that happened in the garden, and the separation between humanity and the Creator, the Creator's desire is to always dwell with men, is to always have this intimate relationship. I mean, clearly He has said that all through the book of Exodus. And even in the prophecy of the Messiah being born, the prophet says that he said that the name of Messiah will be Emmanuel, which means God with us, Elohim with us. Yeshua, the Master, the Yeshua, our Messiah, Yeshua, our Rabbi, He becomes the image of the living God. He becomes the image of that invisible God. For what purpose? To teach us how to behave in a manner that we can still have a deeper relationship with the Creator through righteousness and justice. So, the connection between heaven and earth was cut off only because of the disobedience of humanity. But my King, the Creator of heaven and earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, still has a desire to have intimacy and relationship with humanity, because He created humanity for the purpose to allow them to have dominion on the earth. In the ancient world, the ancient Near Eastern cultures believed that their gods created humanity for the purpose of slavery. And Genesis chapters 1, verse 26 tells us that the Creator of Israel, the God of creation, He created humanity, Adam, for the purpose to have dominion on the earth and give them a function, to be the keepers and the protectors of the garden. Adam, in his disobedience to the command of not eating of the tree of knowledge and evil, he betrayed that trust and he was exiled. The disobedience to the covenant brought exile, brought shame, and brought death. And death is the thing that separates us from being in the presence of God. That's why the Messiah came, to restore the relationship of a covenant nature so that we can return. So every year you have the Messiah, or in this case, the Anointed One, the High Priest of Israel, going into the Holy of Holies once a year. So why is this? I mean, think about this. As I was researching this, I finally realized why the High Priest of the line of Aaron was allowed to go into the Holy of Holies once a year. It is because on this day, on the day of Yom Kippur, is the day that men can enter the presence of the Lord. That day, the Lord teaches that God still wants to have relationship with men. He still wants to have intimacy with humanity. That's why the high priest in Israel represented not only himself and his family, but also he was a representation of all of Israel. Collective versus individual. Yom Kippur is not about the individual. Yom HaKippurim is about the collective attitude of Israel as one people. And that's why the high priest always went into the Holy Holies once a year to intercede on behalf of Israel and on behalf of all the nations. And now we know why the book of Hebrews was written in that context, to show us that Yeshua, our Master, He came to intercede on our behalf so that forevermore we will have access to return to the garden.